Islam, first I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe. I give honor to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to all the past supreme grand advisors of the Moorish Temple of America, Brother C. Kirkman Bey, Brother F. Nelson Bey, and Brother J. Blakely Bey. I give honor to our past moderator and Grand Chief of the Moorish Temple of America Incorporated, Brother R. Love Ill. I give honor to our present Grand Sheik and moderator, Brother R. Jones Bay, and to his assistant, Brother P. Chase Ill. I give honor to everything that the Prophet brought for the uplifting of fallen humanity. I give honor to my sisters on the panel, and I give honor to all of you that have joined us this evening for another episode of Girl Talk, Real Talk, Moorish Talk. Tonight's topic is recognizing temptation. I am Sister N. Greer Ill, Temple 71, Washington, D.C.
Islam. I give praise to the great God of the universe, Allah, our Father. I give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to everything that Sister Griel gave honors to in the opening. I give honor to our special guests that we have on here, Sister F. Brown Eel. I give honor to our members and our guests that are here with us this evening. My name is Sister A. Ravin Obey from Temple number 21 in Brooklyn, New York, and we are very excited to have Sister F. Brown Eel.
Islam. I give praises to Allah and honors to his noble and illustrious prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors in conjunction with the honors that my sisters have given. And I give honors to everything that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought us. I give honors to this platform, another way for us to study and engage and actually figure out how to apply the teachings as we strive. So may Allah be pleased. Peace.
All right. Well, we're going to get this conversation started and have a great conversation. The first question I have for you sisters is, what does temptation mean or look like to you? Who wants to take that first?
I can go. When I think of temptation simplistically, temptation could be a thought, someone, something that if you engage and get into, it's going to get you in trouble, lead to possibly a path of destruction, bring harm to yourself and everything around you. So that's what I think of when I think of temptation. That's what it looks like to me. It could be a thought, a person, a thing, an activity that you have previously engaged in that's gotten you in trouble, anything that you pursue that may lead to something that will get you in trouble. Islam.
Islam. I agree with everything that the sister just said. And it can also leave you with regret. Let me. Islam. Islam. Yeah, I was hearing an echo, but let me continue. It can also leave you with regret, because some of the things I'm tempted to do will just leave you with regret. Like you were saying, a person, a place, or a thing that will get you in trouble. It will also have you full of regret, and it may not necessarily, for me, like food is a temptation for me. If I eat something that I know doesn't line up with my meal plan, I will feel regretful about it later. So yeah, peace.
Peace, sis. I wanted to share the definition of temptation, and I'm going to read from here. It says, the desire to do something, especially something wrong or unwise, a thing or course of action that attracts or tempts someone. So when I hear that, I think about something that also has control over you. I think about a circle around that passion. There's some things when the sister says she cheat on the meal plan, I get it. There's sometimes like, okay, I'm only going to do this. I'm not going to taste chocolate or whatever it is. And then the temptation is when there's a piece of chocolate on the table that my child left and I'm walk by it and it's calling me. It's like, hey, Did you want to put me away?
Yeah.
And so when I think about temptation, I think about something that could potentially mentally control me for not making a balanced decision. Is it very different if I said, I want that because for whatever reasons, but it's another thing when something is coercing me or trying to convince me to have something where I feel like I don't have any power or no willpower or no ability to choose. That to me is when temptation is kind of sitting there for me. So go ahead, sister. You gonna say something?
Yes, I like that you said control and have power. And I find
Mm.
that to be important because it it shifted my perspective toward temptation. Because temptation could be a gift to you because it's doing what we are here to do. Without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength. It's
It's
almost
not.
the exercise of strength. So that temptation that is seeking to gain control over you, seeking to have power over you, is your gift to see. Are you ready to take it to the next level? Or do you just want to sit here and be comfortable where you are, where you have been, which, as Sister Greer says, leaves you with that feeling of regret? And who wants to walk around with that heavy feeling
It's
of
not.
regret all the time? So that temptation, which is probably leading into one of our other questions, could I'm glad you said it because it really let me look at it as okay, this could be a gift. This could be that blessing in disguise that you essentially need as you're striving to spiritually elevate and mature.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Give you an opportunity to exercise your will. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Praise God. All right. What takes place with you when you are being tempted? Like what happens inside of you when you feel like you're being tempted?
Hmm.
Islam, there's always that uncomfortable feeling for me. There's a feeling of uncomfort because I know that I could potentially be walking into dangerous territory. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's lots of talk and negotiation. When that lower self is trying to tempt you, your lower self, depending on your personality, your lower self has that same personality, and it's lots of self talk and negotiation. It's also imagination of the possible outcomes if you give into that temptation. That's what happens when I'm tempted, especially um, I gotta watch this mouth sometimes because you could be tempted to respond in a way that you think you're telling somebody, giving them a piece of your mind, but essentially you have allowed that person or their actions to take control over you and keep you at a place of stagnation. So I get that feeling of discomfort. I get the feeling of possible outcomes. If I say this way, if I say it that way, I know this is the outcome I'm going to get. So when the tempter is there, as it was with Jesus in the wilderness, there was a lot of talk and negotiation. Islam.
It's wrong.
So, when you were speaking, do you all hear that? I want to make sure it sounds okay. Okay. When you all were speaking, it made me think about Elihu's lessons, the unity of life, and around the lower self. Because, this temptation is, in my opinion, it's the lower self. It's my lower carnal nature. But specifically, it says, the lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, temptations, desires. I'm gonna go back to that piece of chocolate. There's a desire that's happening that makes me want to get it or to have it when I made a decision. See, in my higher self, I made a decision that says I'm not going to do this because it's going to, I need to slow down on it or whatever my answer is. And I was leading with a thought, but lower self is whispering in my ear and saying, but it's only one bite. What's that going to do? And so to me, that's that lower self. It's nobody else except my lower self that's kind. So when you say what takes place when I'm being tempted, to me, what takes place is there's a little bit of like, little question. There's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of, let me look at this. There's a little me being pulled away from my original goal. And it's weird because I know I can feel it when I'm kind of like, but maybe I can do this and it's not. And I start negotiating with myself. I'm like, wait a minute, Jesus, away from me all tempting thoughts, right? Because that is what's trying to drag me in. So there is a place for me where I know where you're like kind of being, lack of the word, tempted, like baited a bit in that moment,
Absolutely.
with myself. You can feel.
Mhm.
That's my thought,
Mm-hmm.
sis.
Islam, like I said before, my biggest temptation is Rita's, that Italian ice. And I used to have some other temptations that were way more harmful than some Rita's, right? But I don't live there anymore. So we I'm in a new way of life. So my new temptations are nice, icy, sweet indulgence to my lips. You know, I love ice cream. I love Rita's. And I mean, it's so bad that I'm looking at the calendar to see when the next time weigh-in is, because we got scheduled weigh-in time. So I'm looking at the calendar to see if I got enough time to work this situation off. Do a little extra outside of what I do with my trainer, and it's like a whole um production when it comes to going off of the plan, right? And I was like, just go sit down, Nikki. Just go sit down. It's all right. Cut up some celery and get a little peanut butter and just go chill. Go watch a movie this time. Say Saturday will be here soon enough. And sometimes I don't make it to Saturday. Sometimes soon as I leave the gig, I'm going to get some readers, especially on a hot day. So, but I am grateful that those temptations are what they are and not what they used to be. Praise Allah for that.
Praise Allah.
Peace.
I want to ask a question that Sister Brippe asked in preparation. The question was, what can we learn from the challenges of temptations? What can we learn from the temptations of challenges? Sister T Harper's base here. Islam.
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 Wow, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Islam, yes we can.
Great show so far. Islams and my sisters.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you. So are you beautiful?
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. I know y'all were in the middle of a question, so I'm gonna let y'all continue.
What can we learn from the challenges of temptation?
That's right. What can we learn from the challenges of temptations? Who's ready to answer that one?
Islam, I'll take it. I learned that I still have more work to do because for real, I'm the master, right?
That's right.
I shouldn't let anything outside of me control me in the way it does. Anything. So I have a lot more work to do. That's what I've learned.
One of the reoccurring theme in our instructions: know thyself. Know
Mm,
thyself. That was even on the holy wall, the temple walls in Kemet. Know thyself. Know thyself. So in the challenges of temptation, what do you learn about yourself, Sister Brownhill? I learned how strong I am. I learn of my weaknesses. I learn of my humility. I learn a lot about myself with these temptations, and one of the most recent ones brought me to reality. Says Brownhill, you can be kind of mean sometimes. You might want to look at that, you know. So the temptations really bring you into the reality of you. And are you ready to accept the weaknesses, the foes about yourself that have been brought to you by the challenges of temptation? And that's what I learned from them. You got to have courage enough for the truth about yourself. And that's the beauty of these temptations when you're faced with them. We're learning about ourselves, not just the good parts about you, not just your attributes, but learning about those things within you that, as you said, sister, got more work to be done that you need to work on.
Yeah.
Islam.
Um,
Islam. So praise Allah for the question. What can you learn from the challenges of temptation? I feel like temptations for me personally are a twofold demonstration. You have temptations that can tempt you to do things that are of a lower nature, and you also have temptations that can tempt you to do things of a more positive nature. So of course, we tend to focus a lot on the lower nature temptations because those are the ones and the things that get us in trouble. Um, and then we beat ourselves up for that because it's like, why would you, go through these things? Why are you having these temptations? It must be something wrong with you. But I think that we have to be realistic, and we're bound down to this carnal life, and so there are going to be different temptations that come about. When I'm dealing with the lower nature temptations, for me, how I deal with those challenges is to remember Allah much. And so that takes being in tune with self. There are sometimes if you're having certain thoughts, you have to bring it back around. You have to bring it back to Allah, the Allah that speaks within. And you have to get into, what would make me feel that way? What would make me think about that? You got to immediately change that thought because thought is the cause of it all. Because see, the problem comes in when we think those things, but more so when we act on those things.
That's right.
So we have to be in tune with, like, yo, where did that come from? Let me check myself, as my sisters have already beautifully demonstrated. Let me, get back in tune with what Allah wants me to do. And if I keep focusing on what Allah wants me to do and what Allah wants me to be, then therefore I'm going to try to have the least amount of those tempting thoughts that are of a lower nature or lower vibration. I just got to keep working on me. So that's a way that I particularly deal with those challenges. If it's as I said before, if it's a temptation, one of the things me and my husband were talking about recently was he said he thought he saw a homeless family, and so the thought immediately came, how can we help him? How can we help them? So those are temptations as well. So when it comes to those, um, I told my husband, I said, let's just be cautious in how we deal with that. Because sometimes you may go to some people that you may think is a certain thing going on, and that might not be the case. Or you might not know how the situation is going to end up. So I think in any temptation that you're dealing with, higher or lower vibration, I think that you have to always be cautious and think of a lot much. Praise Allah.
sister, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Praise Allah.
Okay.
Go ahead, sis.
No, who was gonna go? All right. What has helped you resist temptation?
Prayer.
Exactly.
Prayer.
In my head. Prayer.
I would definitely say prayer. Prayer and patience.
And as well as the remembrance of what
Yeah.
happened when you previously engaged. Do you want to go back down that? Do you want to feel that same feeling?
Right.
You know what you went through the last time. Are you
That's
sure
it.
you want to go through that again?
Right.
That's it.
Are you sure you want to feel that feeling? Are you sure you want to wear that badge of shame, that feeling of disappointment? That's what helps me to resist the temptation. The prayer.
Playing that tape back.
Playing it back. Replay.
Playing that tape back is important. Reflection.
That's right.
I would also add on there studying thyself, because sometimes we need to understand what is the trigger And why are we even going there from the get-go? You
Hello.
know, why are we going there? What are we covering up? What do we need? What is it
Mm.
what is it
What's the
replacing?
root? Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, because if you can understand why you're doing it or
Mhm.
what you're really looking for, then you can then make this different decision. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? To say, oh, I'm going there because I'm just bored, or I'm going there because it was just a habit that I developed along the way that doesn't serve me anymore. You know, sometimes we take habits that we may have had as a child or for whatever trauma or moment that was
Got
good
it on
then,
track.
but it may not be good for you now. So
Mhm.
sometimes we have to, you know, you think you studied, go back and study again. Why are you even going there? And then once you get to that understanding or clarity, then you have to face the decision to say, now it's your will of choice. You know,
Okay.
and you're gonna need some tools, some prayer. You might need others to help you.
Right.
And there's no shame in it. You know, to me, that's the brother and the sister filial love of, I need a sister to help me on this. I need you to hold me through this so I can get through whatever this journey is. But you gotta know, to me, what's causing that?
Mhm. Praise Allah.
Hmm. Mr. Hopkins, man, you want to kick us off with a question?
Praise Allah. I sure will. All right. How do you know when it's the tempter or Allah speaking to you?
Mm.
I'll
That's
say
a good question.
Allah speaks in a still small voice. The tempter is in a whisper. And I think it's important to know that the tempter is within you. That tempter is in that's you. That's your lower self.
Yeah.
Um and to me it's deep and it was so profound what Sister Brown Ill just said when she was speaking of I forget what part it was, but it triggered something in my mind. And I was like, we have to think about who is it that is demanding the test and why is it that we are being tested or being tempted in this way. And
Mhm.
there's something Sister Raven Bay was saying is like, why are we having these thoughts and stuff like that? And I think for me personally, when I think about why I react to certain things in a certain way, um, because I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to front. I'm going to say I get tempted often, especially when things don't go my way or I feel like someone is purposefully trying to harm somebody, me, my husband, my children. I kind of feel like I get these feelings of like, what's going on? Who are they talking to? Like, what's the problem? But I have to remember the fact that everybody don't have these lessons and you have to have patience. See, if you're going to be the message of a lie and you're going to demonstrate what the prophet has done for you, you cannot go back to how you used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You just can't. And I feel like sometimes our lower selves will tell us, well, if you don't say nothing, you acting like a punk or you acting like a nut. And so if you don't stand up for it, then you just, something wrong with you. You're gonna let them get over on you. You're gonna let them say that to you. And it's a deep situation because you have to show resistance towards that. And it's so deep for me because you know, praise a lot. I don't play when it comes to my husband. That's my homie. And
That's right.
there was somebody who came in the store the other day, and she just was like, because we greet people. For those of you that have been to the store, we greet people. Hi, how are you? Or for some Muslim sister, Islam, different things like that. And the sister was just like, "Where's Terrence?" And I was like, "Oh." I said, "How are you today?" And my it plays a lot for my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law looked at me and I looked at her. And my sister-in-law turned her head and she was like, I just wanted to know what you was gonna do because I felt it. And I said, I have to deal with her with patience and prayer And I said, and I even told my husband about the situation because he wasn't there when it happened. And I said, the sister doesn't, I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to take this approach. Maybe she doesn't know any better. And she probably didn't know I was your wife. But by the time she left that store, she knew who I was. So praise Allah, all is well. But we have to handle things in a different way. And we can't take that low road because, like y'all were saying before, do we want to go back to that? No, I don't want to go back to that. That's not my desire. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's
And
right.
we have to show the possibilities of men, and we have to understand that we gotta love our people because our people are still struggling. We still struggling too.
Mm-hmm.
But them sometimes more so because they don't have these lessons of the prophet. And so we got to demonstrate that.
Islam. And sisters, the prophet teaches us that every victory over self gives out its strength.
Yeah.
We may want to straighten somebody out.
Right.
I'll mute yourself.
Keep hearing that, that echo. We may want to straighten somebody out. And when we don't do that, when it's almost boiling inside of us to do so, but we choose not to do so anyway, you just gave yourself added strength. You conquered that in that moment. And sometimes, for some of us, and I can only speak for myself, sometimes that is a challenge to keep my mouth shut when I have been wrong. But like you were saying, they just probably just don't know no better. But because I do, I have to handle it a certain kind of way. Praise God.
I think about the fact that because a lot of times we so focused on we were disrespected. That's what it is. We could say it in many different ways, but we were disrespected, we were played, we were, talked to any type of way. And you got to think back to what the prophet went through, because the prophet went through a lot. And he still, was able to keep a humility about himself. And, praise Allah, we are not the prophet, but we definitely striving. And so we got to continuously show that, we got to, not for me, it's more so not just for myself, but I'm representing a nation. I'm somebody's mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm someone's mother, I'm someone's sister, I'm someone's wife, and I can't go low. So when someone else goes low, you have to go high. And I think that is, for me, important to take that high road, because knowing where I came from and where I am today, there's a major difference. And I think at times people who know me, they like to see what they can do or what they can say to try to get me to go back. But praise Allah, it's been like, 15, 16 years, and I haven't yet. So praise Allah, I think I'm doing well.
And I like what you said, to distinguish between if it's Allah and a tempter. Allah speaks in a still small voice. And that tempter, which is you. And my tempter is very dramatic and skillful with words, because I'm a spoken word author. I'm skillful with words. So is my lower self. And so we sometimes may think that when we go higher, the lower self is kind of, for lack of a better word, weak. But in order to keep up with you, when you go higher, the lower self got to go higher too.
That's right.
I might not have been able to get you with this, or the lower self may also take note of what it is that you haven't really gotten over. And at some point, you will be tempted by that trauma you have yet to deal with, the issues that you thought you cleared away, but you kind of like packed it up a little bit, kind of swept it under the carpet. So I say that to say the tempter can be dramatic sometimes and very enticing. And in my field, I go through it with parents in the community in which I teach. I teach in a trauma zone. So I'm teaching children whose parents are very traumatic and they come. I just had an incident before the school year closed out. The parent was very livid.
Mm.
She told me to call her every time her child did something. Okay, I'm going to honor you. And when I did do that, you became irate. And I'm telling you, I was heated, but I had to listen to that still small voice that said, she does not know any better.
Right.
You are the professional.
Mm-hmm.
You love this child loves you. The
Mm-hmm.
mother is not well. That
Mm-hmm.
is how she is dealing with what she's dealing with. I could have, said some choice words, but do I really want to put my profession on the line like that? Do I really want to put my reputation on the line because someone, quote unquote, disrespected me or,
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
told me off, for lack
Right.
of a better word? But yes, ma'am. When you know better, especially with these instructions, you are required to do better. And sometimes, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to say sometimes, most times, that is a challenge.
Yes.
That is a challenge. But the more we push ourselves to calm down and reflect, there's that added strength. Okay, I'm good now. Praise Allah.
Praise
Praise Allah.
God.
Yeah.
That is
You
true.
yeah, that added strength is so important. And that's a wonderful question, Sister Hopkins Bay, because I think sometimes the tempter will make you believe it's Allah. Will
Mm-hmm.
believe will slip it in a little different to you to say, well, but won't that be good? Right? So you knowing yourself and how it shows up. You're right, Sister Browner, because the lower self or that tempter will come to you in the best way that it knows how, you know, to be able to get you to do what it needs to get done. But
Mm.
Allah, it's here. It tells us in a still small voice He speaks,
Right.
and He who is still hears. You know, and it also in our Quran will talk about Allah will use man to speak to you. So when somebody else will tell you, you will know. When we go on our Friday service and we get to hear our divine ministers speak, you can hear the message that you need to hear, that Allah divinely prepared for you, so He will use us for that.
Mhm.
But you gotta be able to sense and be able to hear it. And that's a skill. That's practice. That's being able to, when you hear the tempter, and recognize, that ain't the truth, that ain't for me, and be able to decipher it. Because you're right, He's going to keep coming at us, so we got to get smarter, stronger, and closer to Allah, so that there is clarity on the path that we're trying to go.
Praise Allah. It's deep that you said that too, because I had an experience the other day when I went to the bank. I, doing something very simple. Um, and I felt very disrespected by one of the workers at the bank. I think she was like a manager or something. And I felt like, I mean, I was in there for like 30 minutes. And I said to, I was in my own head and I said, I should tell her that she doesn't have to be that mean. She doesn't have to be that rude to somebody. Like it's unnecessary. And I literally, now this is the tempter, right? Because literally the tempter is like, you should tell her because you're only trying to help her. I'm like, I just like, wait a minute. Who listen, is this the tempter? Is this a lie? Because this is not no. If you then the Allah within came and said, if you go tell her, that's gonna cause confusion and then it's gonna be an issue, and that is unnecessary. She will find out some type of way. But it does not have to be you, and it does not have to be today. But it was like a battle. It was such an inner battle because I felt like I had been so wronged. And I was like, it was just so unnecessary. And I could not understand why this person that is in a business that is of service and you deal with the community.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then it was like deep because I'm like, I have the right to be here. Y'all have my money and your establishment. And how dare you be so rude? But I said, you know what? praise Allah for knowing yourself and knowing when it's a time and a place for everything, and that was not the time nor the place, and Allah will deal with her accordingly.
Mm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
It's something when your heart and mind, your heart and head are kind of clashing with
Mm-hmm.
each other, because that's what it sounds like. Like you felt like somebody needed to tell her something
Right.
in your heart, but your mind was like, maybe not. That maybe it's not for me to say that. And that's, yeah,
Mm.
I go through that one a lot too. But praise Allah, you prevailed.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I walked out after I handled my business, and I was okay. It was gonna be all
Praise
right.
Allah. Yeah.
So,
It's since when you were saying that though, I used to work at a bank, and those two places that I used to manage branches and banks at a part, and the two things you teach the team would be that you're going to see the ugliest of someone because you are messing with two of the things three there's three things that people don't like to be messed with. It's usually their food, it's their children, and it's their money.
right.
And those are the three things that you would train them to say, is that you will see viciousness coming out in all three of those situations. And you work at a bank, and it's someone's money. So even if it's their error, your error, whose ever error, just understand you got to be prepared that they're gonna go to number 9 and number 10, and you see it. You need to be prepared for that and to de-escalate that, because when people are coming at you, you have to not get triggered. Like what Sister Bonnie was saying with the person. We have to train people to remember, like, they are not talking about you personally. It could have been whatever you need to do to calm down. And even when you do that training, you are going to you might go there, because they are going to bait you. They're going to do whatever. And so when you were saying that, I just had me thinking about how we're living in this world where we're interacting with people, and there's how people feel about it. It's about however it is. Unfortunately, maybe this woman had a bad moment in time, but people get triggered with that temptation to go off, and we need to be
Mhm.
prepared, and to be you listened to understand, like, maybe not right now, right here. And we got
Mm-hmm.
to you got to be able to hear it in the midst of all that. And to me, that's a skill. That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard when somebody's poking at you, and then you are trying not to react. And
Right.
I try to be very patient. I can, be able to be patient. But when I go there, I'm like, okay, I feel it. I feel it in my cheeks. My brain's got a couple of lines ready, some bullets ready to come daggering out. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, it's you're not perfect, but you gotta get ready to try to pull it back in.
And you know what? Another process, thought process that keeps me grounded on my square is I don't have to fight all my battles. I don't have to fight them. Allah has my back. And in
That's
our
right.
in the Quran, in the chapter of religion, it says He hath established His laws in goodness and mercy, and shall He not punish the transgressors thereof? Oh, think not, bold men, because thy punishment is delayed, that the arm of Allah is weakened. Neither
Right.
flatter thyself with hopes that He winketh at thy doings. So you may have harmed me, you may have disrespected me. I don't have to go there, because guess what? Allah got my back. And
Mm-hmm.
your punishment is coming for what you did that was not in righteousness. I don't even have to go there anymore, because
Mm-hmm.
a higher
Yeah,
power has my back. And
that's
you
right.
are going to be put in a situation where you're going to learn the lesson and get to the level that I am, so we can keep this train moving on the path of righteousness. Islam.
Islam.
Um,
That's right.
the one
Another.
thing is for sure, when we act up,
Mm-hmm.
when we act up, not just us who wear turbans and fezzes, but all of us, we act up, we can rest assured that we will get our reward for that. It's
Absolutely.
Right.
coming.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Praise
often
Allah.
think about that. Praise Allah. I often think about the fact that, you know, when someone gets to that point where they are because sometimes there's a lot of people out here that's just walking around and just very unhappy. You never know what someone else is going through,
Never.
and you never know what battles they may be facing. Her job may have been extremely hard. I mean, and this is just for people in general. Things, illnesses, the stress of the economy right now, um, you know, just not being able to make it. People deal with things from day to day on a day-to-day basis, and you just never know what someone is going through. And so, having that type of consideration, I think at times helps me because it's like, in that moment of them being extremely upset, um, you don't have to be the one that points your finger at them. You may be the one that shows them um mercy in that moment and understanding in that moment, because I think at times if you give them that same energy, then you're not showing them any difference. And so you have to sometimes meet people with an energy that's much better than what they're giving out, and that is a demonstration of what we're how we're supposed to be. And so maybe that can encourage or inspire them to be maybe a little bit more pleasant to the next person. So I,
It's
I, I think about things like that.
Because our
you
fellow
know,
men,
sis, go ahead, sis.
our fellow men who are in pain, they it's loud. They have tantrums. When people hurt, they bleed, and they may bleed on you. And what are you going to do? Are you going to deepen the wound, or are you going to heighten the tantrum?
Hmm.
So I concur with what you said, sister. Sometimes the way in which we respond to those who are
Hmm.
acting out due to pain could potentially heal them,
Hmm.
potentially, give them that wellness that they may need at the time. So that's something we have to be mindful of as well. If it's a spirit.
And I was just going to say that, I'm just saying, but you know, sometimes I feel like when someone is acting out, if I go to them in love, I'll have a better response because in my mind, I'm thinking the next person's not going to feel like me, go to them in love. The next person might want to do some harm to this individual. Like, what can I do to prevent that from taking place later? Because if it's put on my heart to speak some words to an individual who is being outraged or disrespectful, and they could possibly not even be talking to me, but I could just overhear it, right?
Hmm.
And I feel sometimes I feel, and this may be bad, but sometimes I feel it's my responsibility to show them some love, but tell them, where they may have erred at, but do it in love because the next person's not going to be so kind and understanding. And so I just wanted to share that part. So that's a battle too, whether to reach out and try to help the situation, because like you were saying, Sister Brownhill, the word can either harm or heal, and I definitely want to heal when I speak, and it's like saying when someone says, I don't care if it hurt or not, I was telling the truth. The truth don't have to be harmful. You don't have to be ugly when delivering the truth. The truth don't need all that extra stuff. It's just the truth. Just tell it, and you can do it with love and kindness and understanding and compassion. Just because you right don't mean you gotta be ugly about it. I say this all the time, and you don't have to deliver the truth in an ugly way. So it's about showing love. Peace.
Hey, sis, when you just said that, it made me think about, we carry energy and vibration with us. You can go into a room, or you can think of somebody, and you know what it feels like to be surrounded with love. They don't even have to say anything. At the same time, you could be in a room, or somebody can walk in a room, and you could feel that energy shift. We were
Mm,
before the show, we were
mm,
just talking about a singer, and we're talking about Erica Badu, and how the energy that she puts out when you are in the presence, and there's different things. And so I believe that even with or without words, we do give off energy, because that
Mhm.
positive energy is love. And sometimes when we are dealing with people that are going through whatever it is they're going, sometimes they need to feel that. When you were saying Sagrio, I just give it to
Absolutely.
them. Sometimes you need to give it to them so they can just kind of take off a little bit, off their
Mhm.
shoulders, and pick it up, because you don't know what you're going to give to them. So it's so important that we have to remind ourselves to be in that higher frequency and that higher love, because you don't know what that person needs right then and there. You might have given them just enough to get through the day for whatever is going on, because no one owes you to tell you what's their difficulties. It used to frustrate me when people are like, how's your day going? And it's like, some people care, some people it's just a formality that people ask. But if they were to really tell you their burdens, what you go, that's a responsibility. And people don't typically really say what's going on, particularly when they're at work. I'm imagining maybe the sister had found out, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking my branch there could be a loss she's dealing with. You know what I mean? Like a not a like a loss, of financial loss, that could lose her job, because you're dealing with money, or someone on the team did whatever, and she brought that energy to there. But the reality is, when we're interacting with each other, we can feel that love or that energy that person can give us. And you just never know. It could just be enough, to get somebody through. So I think it's a great responsibility when we are
Definitely.
placed in those situations to figure out how to muster that up. And now that we know the truth, it's like we got to deliver,
Got an
you
obligation.
know,
Absolutely.
That's
we got to
right.
deliver.
Praise
Praise Allah.
Sister Hopkins, babe,
Yes, ma'am.
you want to shoot your question?
Are we on the
Excuse
next one?
me,
Praise
not
Allah.
shoot your question. I'm sorry.
All right, give me a second. Um, Let me see. Okay. How do you personally prevent the tempter from derailing you from your mission?
Say that again.
It says, how do you personally prevent the tempter from derailing you from your mission?
So,
Mm.
well, from Islam, for me personally, what comes to my acceptance, I accept that the temptation is going to be there. I accept that sometimes I may fall into the temptation, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to wallow in it. I'm
Islam.
not just going to move. I'm what our grand governor always says. I'm not expecting you to go into the forest and all white and not get no dirt on you. You know, you're gonna get some dirt on you, but I don't expect you to wallow in it, to just allow it to govern you. So how do I keep it from derailing me from my mission? I'm on a mission. I have an intended purpose and plan. And on that plan, there are going to be obstacles, and sometimes I am going to fall. But am I going to just accept the fall and not get back up and fight through it again?
Right.
So I'm going to accept it. I'm going to let it knock me down if it gets to that point, but I'm going to dust myself off, and I'm going to keep striving and keep striving until I'm strong enough to not let that temptation get to me to the point that I just totally lose focus of what it is I'm trying to do, I'm aiming to do. We're previously talking about the health piece and being good to the body. A couple months ago, I was on it, on a detox. Nothing could deter me. But then vacation came. You go out of town, you want to taste the delicacies of each city. So that was the tempter got
Yeah.
me. But I'm like, okay, that was vacation. Now it's time to get back on it. And one of our health coaches actually had us to put an action plan together. Here's your action plan. You are going to be on this detox. And I'm gonna tell you now, you are going to fall short. What is your plan of action when you fall
Mm.
short? What are you going to do? Are you just going to give up? It is what it is. I'm just gonna be unhealthy. It is what it is. That is not the best approach to take when
That's right.
the intended purpose is health and wealth. That's not the best approach to take. Some people give in to that approach. But if you do not want this tempter to totally derail you from your purpose, you got to say, okay, I'm going to take the L. You know, we play spades, we play that rise and fly, and you know, you might take the L, but I'm going to rise and fly and come back, and hopefully the next time the cards are shuffled, I'll get a, you know, we can run a Boston, but take the L. It's okay. You're supposed to take the L. You're here to take the L so you can learn from it and elevate.
Right.
That's right.
That's so true. Wow. Without a foe, a soldier never knows their strength. And it's deep because a lot of times the foe is within.
Absolutely.
And it's deep because when I was thinking about, you know, my answer while the sister was talking, I was thinking of giving honors to my son, brother Ramadan Hopkins Bey. Honors to all my children because I'm pretty sure they're watching. So if I honor him and I don't honor the rest, they're going to be really upset. But honors to Ramadan because just on that health kick. So him and I are looking to get into the gym. You know, my son, he just turned 14. We want to make some changes and, you know, do some alternative things. And it's deep because every time we have the conversation, he says to me, Mom, but consistency is key.
Mm.
And so we're thinking about the question, how do you personally prevent the tempter from derailing you from your mission? Consistency with yourself. And high honors to the sister Brown Ill for acceptance as well, because you are going to fall off sometimes. You know, you are going to have those moments of you know, you fell down and you need to, you know, jump back on and get back up and, you know, dust yourself off and keep pushing. But I think for me, consistency with myself is very important because, and it's funny because I'll have a conversation with people and I'll say, I'm me all day, every day. And it's funny because they know what they get when they go and talk to, when people come and talk to me, you know what you're going to get. Cause I don't change. I don't switch up for people when I'm get around new people. I don't switch up. You know, I'm not going to say something to make someone else feel well or feel good just because they want to hear that. I'm going to always be me. If you ask me something about myself, whether it is something that you may like or not like, I'm going to tell the truth to the T because that is who I am. So for me, consistency with who I am, as well as acceptance, as well as humility, keeps me on my mission because I am aware that without study of myself, that I can go back. I can easily slip back into those cracks of, you know, before. And so I have to keep pushing, keep doing, keep studying, keep attending my meetings, keep learning my lessons. You know, you cannot read the Holy Quran and Moorish Science Temple of America and think that you have got it. No, because if you read it 1,000 times, you're going to get a new meaning every time.
Right.
So you got to keep going. So for me, like I said before, honest to him for that word because it's been sticking in my head. I have to be consistent with myself at all times. So I'm you know, I'm on that path. We're gonna have to talk, Sister F. Brownell, so we can
Islam.
talk about those
You're an
things.
Aquarius.
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I attract Aquarian energy. I love y'all. Y'all keep it real.
That's
and I need that because it helps me to have courage for the truth.
Praise
and
Allah.
I know y'all love me because you all always tell me the truth.
Praise Allah. That's right. That's right.
Praise Allah. You know, when the brother told you consistency, I mean, it's funny. The chapter I have opened up to that answer is inconstancy.
Wow.
You know,
that's
because, and I'm like, okay, brother, okay.
Yes.
Because the prophet has a whole chapter on it, and he tells us nature urges thee to inconstancy.
That's
so
right.
it is in your nature to be inconsistent.
Ma'am.
It's in your nature. Now it says, therefore, guard thyself all times against it. And to that, right, we got it, there's a whole chapter, established unto thyself principles of action. I have to think about that because
Yes.
I like to, sometimes I do too much. I'm doing a little bit of this with my son, I'm doing a little bit of this with my one job, doing this with another job, and all them balls creates inconsistency. And so I have to remind myself, okay, you need a little bit of order around this in order to make all these things happen. You can't have 5 cars fired up and expect them all to go the same. Some things got to go in a different order,
Mhm.
and so that you have to think about resolution, and when I read that chapter, I really have like a visual in my head of walking through and things just parting from your ways when we can hold on to that resolution that the prophet talks about. So when I think about how do you get derailed, there is a reality that you probably might get derailed because in our nature we're going to be inconstant.
That's right.
However, you have the tools to be able to figure it out, and you have to realize if you're on a mission, it doesn't mean that everything's going to go perfect. It
Right.
means it's step by step. It's moment by moment. It's decision by decision, and trusting that the all will be okay at the end. You got to have that faith, that belief, that faith, that fruition that it's going to happen. And if you are putting that belief and faith that it's going to happen, then you can step and know, okay, yeah, today wasn't that good, but what's tomorrow look like? You can't fall off all the way. And that can be difficult, for whatever decisions, whatever the mission is that you're going through in life. It can just get really, really hard, but we got to do it step by step.
And like what all of you were saying, we fall off, but it's about not staying there. Don't stay stuck. You know, don't have 10 cookies after you didn't had 10 cookies.
Yes, ma'am. And
Sister
try to
Griel, you just had 10 cookies. I don't think you need to go back to the mall and get 10 more. And it's about knowing that, okay, I fell off. Let me pick myself back up and get back on it, because you have to think about, and that's in anything, you have to think about the goal, the mission you set for yourself to begin with, right? To start on this journey, the journey that you were derailed on. You got to choose what's with the derailment or what's with picking yourself back up. You got to move forward. You know, I like good food. I love sweets, but I want to be healthy. And I know here's the hit. I know that those things um, affect my condition in a bad way. Sugar, uh, yeast, flour, starch, those things inflame. I have a joint disease, so if I eat too much of that, I'm gonna be inflamed. And I always know when I went overboard because I can feel it in my body, and that tells me, listen, you guys, come on now. Don't think just because you didn't work real hard all this time that you can just fall off like this or slip up like this and get back. And sometimes I do, like I told y'all earlier. I look at my calendar and see how much time I have left to like get myself back in order before it's time to weigh in. I shouldn't have to do that if it's about saving my life. You know what I'm saying? So choices. Is it temptation or is it a choice? Like Sister Brownell was saying earlier. Is it the temptation or a decision? Not me making some bad decisions.
You can't
when
cover
it
it
comes
up,
to food,
right?
when it comes to food, I make some bad decisions. But what I am consistent is working it out. I'm consistent with that. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Sisters, we are so close at time. I don't know if this conversation is sounding so good, and
very good.
Is very good. So let's see. Can we sneak one quick question? Ooh, we tight. What's a quick question we got? We got a
Islam,
quick question?
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I thought you had a quick question. I'm trying to think.
Okay, I have
Okay,
one.
I got a quick question.
Okay.
So work with me, sisters. The question is, we're gonna leave a thought with everybody on this conversation to hold on. What is your words of encouragement? If you see a fellow sister or brother out there that's dealing with the temptation, what would be your one sentence of word that you would gift to them?
I would say I'm going to go to the Holy Quran. The highest heights are gained by those who reach the greatest depths. The height. So the deeper it is, the higher you shall rise. That's what I would go with.
Yes, ma'am. I would say Allah speaks to man through man. So, when Allah is speaking to you in that still small voice, hear him. Praise Allah.
Praise God. I would just say, hold on. Be safe, be careful, hold on. Believe it's going to get better. And it is various things I say to different individuals throughout the day when I see them in passing, So whatever I'm looking at, my response is different, but it's always encouraging and to just hold on. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. I think the thought that I would probably just to remind people is that we're spirit man, a seed of Allah, held deep within himself, the attributes of every part of Allah. Allah is within you, so you can do it, and you have it within you. So don't lose sight that you are. I want to thank our guest, Sister F. Brownell, being with us from Temple Number 5, St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you, Sister, for joining us.
Thank you all. This was very rejuvenating. I love it. Thank you all for inviting me, and I pray that we shall meet in this particular sacred growth again.
Praise
Praise
Allah.
Allah.
Well, let me just share a few announcements. We got a few to show out, so please stay with us while we close up the show. This Friday, our good brother T. Gaither Eel from Temple Number 71, his homegoing service this Friday at Stewart Funeral Home, 4001 Benning Road Northeast. They will also be on Zoom, and the details will be on our Facebook page. We also have this Saturday, Temple Number 71's having a family day cookout at Lane Manor Splash Park. You might see Sister Grill there if you go over there.
You will
check
see
it out.
Sister Great there.
Okay. And as honor, July 20th is our Authority Day. For those that don't know, most temples will be celebrating it, but there will also be something on our Facebook. Our social media team is putting something special for you all to see for July 20th. August 14th, Glassboro, New Jersey is having their annual fundraiser. If you've never been, it is one of the best. I went as a child. It's the best. The food, the music, the games, the laughter is wonderful. And of course, on Friday, we have our Holy Day meeting, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on social media. Sunday school, 2 p.m. Eastern, you will find us. And our other shows with us, Sakara Sacred Healing, will be on next Wednesday. And Universal Love is coming, which just on last night. So if you didn't see it, you should go check it out. And they're going to be on in 2 weeks when we come back on. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you again, Sister F. Brownell, our special guest. And may Allah be with you all. Yes.
Yes, thank you, sister. Praise Allah.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.